is World Book Day. Yes, that's right, today is World Book Day, and that is a very special day, as the early subscribers of this channel will know, because today is the day that this channel officially turns 1 year old! So yes, 1 year ago today I did start this channel. You may notice that none of the videos from this channel are over a year old, and that is because I deleted them all in an attempt to restart the channel with new branding, and it kind of worked, so shh. So for this very special World Book Day video, I'm going to talk about what books mean to me in a really sort of sad, depressing, introspective sort of fashion, and then I'm going to recommend some of my favourite books that mean something to me personally, because everyone loves that, don't they? Why am I talking like this? I can't stop! So let's talk about books, shall we? Instead of doing whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing with my life, let's talk about what books mean to me. There's a question in the BookTube newbie tag, which is the only tag so far that I've done. It's a question that a lot of people answer in the same way, and I tried to answer it sort of differently, but then jokingly answered it the same way anyway. So the question is, why do you love reading? And it's a difficult question to answer for a lot of people, I think. It's why the answer is often the same. It's because I like to escape, it's escapism, so on and so on. But that's not the answer that I would give as to why I love reading. The reason I personally, as a hobby, like reading more than anything else is because as a form of entertainment, it's something that engages the participant much more sort of mentally than anything else. Even other things that have storytelling in it, like, you know, films and TV and stuff like that are fantastic, you know, for what they do. But the way a story is told to you through a book leaves so much. It relies on the reader so much to get something out of that story. Like, you know, the only way I can really think to phrase it is that one person can read a book and another person can read the same book, and they have totally different experiences with reading it, because they got something different out of it. They're at a different point in their life, they feel different themes from the book, and all of the interpretations are valid, and that's something that's, I think, is unique to film. Not to film! No! It's not unique to film at all! Shut up! That's something I think that's unique to books. Because with a film or with TV, you have actors telling the story for you, basically. You know, they're saying the words, they're emoting, if they're good actors anyway. You know, you can tell what you're supposed to be feeling from the film or the TV show, because there's music and all this stuff to draw a mood, and it is, everyone watching it will more or less have the same experience and the same feeling about it. Not so much with books, because, you know, it's a page with words on. You read the words, you know, you imagine a different thing in your head, and you know, that gives a different feeling. People read in different ways. I personally like to do like fake castings as it was a film in my head, and then sort of I make the book how I would make it as a film in my mind. But that means that I'm in control of it, you know. You're in control of your vision of the story, more so than the author is, and that's something that I think books can only do, and no other medium really has ever achieved. Even though a lot of films are made out of books, and I think that's what actually really annoys people about a lot of film adaptations, is that this isn't the story that I imagined in my head, because it's being told in a different way. It's probably the way the director or the screenwriter saw the story in their head, but not so much for individual reader, and that is why book adaptations are very hard. So we've gone off topic a bit, so let's just move on to what are some of the books that have really made me feel like a better person I guess, or just means something to me throughout my life. So what we're going to do here is to sort of work forward through time, starting from when I was a wee little kiddie, all the way to now, where I'm obviously a rather large man. So I'm just going to show you, I've got 5 books to show you. Some of them you'll probably have heard of, and some of them maybe you won't, but probably you have. So let's just start at The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket. This is the first book in the series of Unfortunate Events, which is a series which myself and one of my friends can basically describe as our Harry Potter, meaning that this is the series that we read as kids because we were miserable children. I joke, but it's sort of true in a way, you know. Childhood, not the happiest of all times, not a particularly happy child, not miserable, you know, but definitely not happy. Not like undergone any hardships or anything, but you know, it's a typical growing up stuff is just not always, you know, the fun thrill ride it is for everyone else. But this series, you know, series of Unfortunate Events, is a series that it allows you to wallow in your misery in some ways. But I think it's just a very different kind of children's book because, you know, it's not all happy-go-lucky. It's not all optimistic and happy endings. It's a more grounded story of children going through something really horrible. And when you're a kid that's going through some tough times, you know, maybe sometimes you want to be a bit pessimistic. And I would say this book means a lot to me now because I can see the influence that it's had on my personality. You know, I am philosophically a pessimist, I suppose I would say, but this book sort of tells you that's okay. It's okay to be cynical. It's okay to be, you know, it's okay to be a smart ass because, you know, the kids in this book are more intelligent than everyone else, and it lets you sort of, it's characters that are going through a really bad time but getting through it with their wit and intellect, and that is something that something like Harry Potter doesn't do, because Harry Potter isn't witty or intellectual. He's some nubbin with a wand. He magics his problems away. He can fix his closet with it. The next book I have to show you is Carrie by Stephen King. Now, this is an interesting book for me because for quite a while this was actually one of the only books that I'd read for a long time. So after my childhood years, I got into, you know, the teenage phase, and then I was really into film, really into TV, and I hadn't read a book like properly for pleasure for quite a long time. And then I saw the film of Carrie, and I knew it was a book, so I thought, well, why not read the book? And I think on average this is the book that I've reread the most. Just I don't know why, but the story just sort of it speaks to me. Maybe it goes back to that whole childhood bullying in school. Bullying in school's bad. Yeah, bullying in school, you know, that kind of thing. But it's like, this is the ultimate power fantasy. You know, if it was written 20 years later, it might be a bit risque after the whole, you know, the whole Columbine thing, and obviously the horrific school shootings that followed. But this is the story of a girl who is bullied and oppressed her whole life, and then suddenly finds the power to take revenge on all of these people that have done her wrong. And it culminates in like this really brutal, horrific sequence of events. But for most of the book, it's just her going through life, sort of just being downtrodden and put upon. I don't know why these sorts of stories speak to me. Maybe it just does go back to that. What I was saying is just, you know, if you grow up with having a shitty time in school, then you're going to enjoy stories about people having a shitty time in school. Maybe that's it. But I think, you know, Carrie means a lot to me as a book, and I will definitely reread it again. Maybe soon. I don't know. I got a lovely new edition. It's the lovely new edition, because my original edition is now beat up. Let me show you. This is the original edition of Carrie that I've got. As you can see, it's been in better nick. It's beaten up and read quite thoroughly, but very enjoyable book for me. So the next book I have to show you is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. I picked this book up on a whim after I saw a poster for the film on the train. I was like, oh, that looks quirky and indie sort of filmy. And then I saw it was obviously it's based on a book, so I thought, oh, wow, I might as well read the book first. This is after I got back into reading and stuff. Now, the reason this book means a lot to me is going back to the school days. This isn't something I really talk about too much because it happened like over a decade ago at this point, but I had a friend who sadly passed away from cancer when he was very young. We were both very young, obviously, and at the time, you know, I didn't really know how to deal with that. I didn't feel, obviously, you know, you feel upset about that kind of thing, but I personally feel like maybe my reaction was understated compared to a lot of other people. You know, there were no tears or beating my chest against the world or anything. You know, just sort of a numbness and a lack of understanding of what's really going on. Because, you know, when you're like 14, I mean, you understand what death is and stuff, but you don't. I don't know, it's sort of hard. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe tell me if I'm weird in the comments below. But this book is, it's about a girl who's diagnosed with terminal cancer and a guy who befriends her. And the whole book is brilliant from my perspective because it shows that as a teenager he doesn't understand really what's going on, and he doesn't feel like he's learning some big lesson, and he doesn't feel like, oh, I've got a deeper understanding of life. You know, it's not the Fault in Our Stars style book where everyone's a philosopher, everyone has these thoughts about life and death, and when they're only, you know, kids essentially. And I think this is the first book that sort of showed me, you know, even though I came to it as an adult, it's a book that showed me, you know, it's okay to feel that way when you were growing up. You know, it's okay to not really understand. It's okay to deal with things in your own way. And I really appreciated that book for coming into my life, even though, again, it's not something I talk about or even really think about that much. Like I say, it happened, you know, I'm 26 now. It happened like 12 years ago. But yeah, it's still a really good read, so I recommend it. Right, let's pull ourselves out of that miserable little hole for a little while and talk about the Tower of the Swallow. This is The Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski, and that's the best I can pronounce that name. I know that's not how you pronounce the name. Polish viewers, if you want to like shout at me in the comments or whatever, feel free to do so, because I know it's a butchery, but I don't think people that speak English as the first language don't have a good grasp on how to pronounce Polish names. So this is a book in the Witcher series, if you can see there. So this is a book in the Witcher series. It's a collection of short stories. This book I chose to represent the series as a whole because I love the entire series. I came to it after playing the video game of The Witcher 2, and obviously I knew, oh, these are books, and I love the world and the characters that it's portraying, so I want to read the books. And I was definitely not disappointed, especially in this. This is the book I've chosen to represent the series, because I think this is really where the author hits his stride in terms of the characters and the world that he's building. In the first collection of short stories, which is called Blood of Elves, which I have on the shelf behind me there somewhere. It's not called Blood of Elves, is it? It's just... what's it called? The Last Wish. Blood of Elves is the first novel. Oh, you're not even a real Witcher fan, you noob. So, yeah, anyway, this this short story collection in particular, I think, is one of the high points in the series for me, because it really cements the characters, and it makes you... there's a lot of stories in there that give you a really good understanding of what everyone's about and the flavour of the Witcher series. Especially... A Little Sacrifice, I think, is the name of the story. It's probably my favourite short story that I've ever read, because it's just so... it's so on point for everything about the Witcher series. The Witcher series, if you don't know, is about a professional monster hunter called Geralt of Rivia, who is he's what's called a Witcher, which is like a genetic mutated guy who has been specifically trained and bred to hunt monsters. But it's set in a time where monsters are becoming very rare in the world because everyone's now developed to the point where people live in cities with walls and monsters don't necessarily get in there. You know, so Geralt just sort of wanders around from place to place fighting monsters. But it's not the novel series isn't like a Monster of the Week plot. It's about, you know, it's a continuous saga of him looking for his sort of adopted daughter. The short story collection is sort of a Monster of the Week thing. He does go through different situations and fight different monsters, but the reason the series is so good to me is I think is the reason Game of Thrones is so good to everyone else. You know, it's more about the characters and their interactions rather than, you know, what they're doing, stabbing monsters in the face, you know. So it's really good. That's the best short story collection from the series. Probably my favourite book from the series so far. The last one's coming out this month. So definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, go check it out if you feel like it. And the last book I have to show you is The Singer's Gun by Emily St. John Mandel. Again, I'm picking this book to represent all of Emily St. John Mandel's work because I've read them all now and I gave them all 5 stars. I think she's an incredible writer. At the point of my life that I'm at, I think she's just sort of perfectly spot on for me. Her writing is mostly all about people in their late 20s, which now I am. Scary thought. Coming up to 30, whatever, you know. But the reason I think that it's so good for me to read is because it portrays a life that I sort of understand, not so much in the events that happen, like on a big level. Like The Singer's Gun is about a guy who is working at his job, gets caught out in a random background check because they're doing security checks at his work, and he gets caught out. And then he gets wrapped up in all of this thing due to some dodgy stuff he's done in the past. And obviously I've not done loads of dodgy stuff in my past. Not that we can tell the police anyway. So it's not like I've done loads of dodgy stuff in my past, but just sort of the things that happen, you know, the reasons he gets involved in it and the other characters in there. It's about people that are getting older and are dissatisfied with the life choices they've made and just the direction their life is going. And I'm not, you know, I'm not entirely miserable with the way that my life is going or whatever. But obviously, this is the stage in life where you look back on your youth, especially, and think, could I have done this a lot better? You know, what am I doing now? How do I fix things? What do I do to make better decisions? And I think it speaks a lot to me because that's just where I am in life at the moment. Maybe I'll read that in 10 years and think, oh god, it's a bit melodramatic, or, you know, if I'd read that when I was a teenager, I'd be like, you know, grow up, it's not that bad. But at the same time, you know, now I read it and I think, you know, sometimes things do go that badly. And yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know if I can say that they're definitely books for everyone, but I think they're definitely books that everyone should try, because her works are brilliant for me. Like, all around they're brilliant for me. I know a lot of people have issues with the characters and stuff in her books, and they are somewhat similar in a lot of the time, but it's a character that I identify with being done over and over again, and therefore I'm okay with that. I'll give it a pass. But I think objectively the writing style is just is magnificent, and definitely you can get something out of that. So yeah, give it a go. Right guys, this video is now looking, it looks it's 21 minutes according to this, but I'll probably edit it down because there's a lot of old nonsense in there. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic World Book Day. And please leave in the comments below, just tell me what books mean something to you, what books have spoken to you throughout your reading life. Yeah, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time.